Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the online classes. Today, we are focusing on Module 2, and the topic which we will discuss today are as follows. So, as I have told you, this online lecture session is about Module 2, which focuses on the Indian Succession Act 1925. So, today we will cover the following topics. These are administrator, administration pendant LITE, probate versus letter of administration, and lastly about powers of an executor or an administrator. So let's get started. So in a nutshell, I have provided you about the section name for administrator. It is section 2 clause A, and administration pendant LITE is following the section 247. Next, we have probate versus letter of administration. And lastly, we have powers of an executor or an administrator. That is under Chapter 6 of the Indian Succession Act, which covers sections 305 to 315. So, what is administrator? The term administrator is being defined under section 2 clause A of the Indian Succession Act, and it means a person appointed by competent authority to administer the estate of a deceased person when there is no executor. So what is administrator? Administrator is a person, and by whom the administrator is appointed? By the competent authority. The administrator is appointed. And why he is appointed? The administrator is appointed to administer the estate of a deceased person. And when an administrator is appointed? When there is no executor. So when there is no executor, number one, if it is intestate succession. Number two, if it is testamentary succession, but the executor is not willing to execute the property, or it is a testamentary succession, but the testator has not mentioned the names of the executor. So these are the few cases when an administrator may be appointed to administer the estate of a deceased person. Next, we have administration pendant LITE. So what is administration pendant LITE? Administration pendant LITE is the way through which a court or a competent authority appoints an administrator of the estate while a case is pending before the court. What the section defines, we will know now. Section 247 of the Indian Succession Act 1925 says that pending any suit before the court that is related to the validity of the will of a deceased person, or for obtaining or revoking any probate or any grant of letter of administration, the court may appoint an administrator of the estate of such deceased person who shall have all the rights and powers of a general administrator, other than the rights of distributing such property, and every such administrator shall be subject to the immediate control of the court and shall act under the court's direction. So when a case is pending before the court, if he thinks fit and proper, appoint an administrator of the estate and allot him some work which the court wants to do by him. And the administrator is under the proper control of the court and will act according to the directions of the court. So administration pendant LITE is about these things. Let us now talk about probate and letter of administration. So what is probate? Probate is a legal process by which the court validates a will as the last will of the deceased. Probate Act, the legal process, যেটা থ্রু দিয়ে একটা উইলকে কোর্ট ভ্যালিডেট করছে অ্যাজ দ্য লাস্ট উইল অফ দ্য ডিসিজড। যে মারা গেছে তার উইলটাকে लास्ट विल हिसेबे ऑथेंटिकेट করছে কোর্ট, সেই প্রসেসটাকেই বলা হচ্ছে प्रोबेट। तो प्रोबेट क्या है? प्रोबेट एक लीगल प्रोसेस है जिसके द्वारा कोर्ट एक विल को जो मर गया है उसका लास्ट विल डिक्लेयर करता है। ओके, so what is letter of administration? On the other hand, letter of administration is a document which is issued by a competent authority or a court, and through this letter of administration, an administrator is being appointed to dispose of the property of a deceased person. I'm repeating once again. Administration of any estate is to be done by an administrator when there is a person who has died intestate, or he has died testated, but there is no executor. So administrator is a person who administers the property of a deceased person if there is no executor. And letter of administration is a document issued by a competent authority or a court, and by this document an administrator is appointed to dispose of the property of the deceased person. যখন কেউ মারা যায় সেখানে যদি কোনো এক্সিকিউটর না থাকে সেই ক্ষেত্রে কোর্ট একটা লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন ইস্যু করবে, আর সেই লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন দ্বারা একটা অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটর অর মোর দেন ওয়ান অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটরকে কোর্ট অ্যাপয়েন্ট করবে। Next point says that probate is a copy of will certified by competent court to the executor of the estate. Probate তার মানে কি? Probate একটা legal document or legal proof যেটা একটা উইলকে সার্টিফাই করছে যে এটা ডিজিজের লাস্ট উইল ছিল, আর সেইটা কে করছে? কম্পিটেন্ট কোর্ট। সো কম্পিটেন্ট কোর্ট ইজ giving the probate to the executor or executors, and the executor or executor will work according to the last will when the probate is being given to the executor. On the other hand, letter of administration is granted when a person dies intestate. তার মানে কি? লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন কাকে দেওয়া হয়? যখন কেউ ইন্টেস্টেড মারা যায়, কোনো উইল না করে মারা যাচ্ছে, তখন লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন ইজ গ্রান্টেড। আর তাছাড়া লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন ইজ অলসো রিকোয়ার্ড আরো কিছু কিছু ক্ষেত্রে। সেগুলো কি কি? ইফ আ টেস্টেটর ইজ ফেল টু অ্যাপয়েন্ট অ্যান executor under a will, then letter of administration will be provided. Or if an appointed executor refuses to act as per the will, সেই ক্ষেত্রেও কিন্তু letter of administration দেয়া হয়। আর এছাড়া if an executor has died before proving the will, as we all know that in case of testamentary succession, a will needs to be proved before the court and authenticated by the court. So when the process is going on, or before the process has started, if an executor dies, then letter of administration will be issued by the competent authority or court, and through that letter of administration an administrator will be appointed. So letter of administration may be for intestate succession or for testamentary succession as per some rules and regulations. Next, there are a few more information regarding probate and letter of administration. Probate says that no probate of will shall be granted until after the expiration of 7 clear days from the day of the testator's death is over. তার মানে কি? probate 7 দিন পাস হবে তারপরেই কিন্তু দেয়া হবে। কোন 7 দিন? টেস্টেটর মারা গেছে তারপরে ক্লিয়ার 7 দিন পাস হয়ে গেছে তারপরে কিন্তু প্রবেট দেয়া হয়। কিন্তু লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন কখন দেয়া হয়? যখন টোটাল 14 ডেজ পাস হয়ে গেছে টেস্টেটর বা ইন্টেস্টেড মারা যাওয়ার পর। আর এই দুটো টপিক বা এই দুটো প্রভিশনস, এইটা আর এইটা কোথায় লেখা আছে? সেকশন 293 তে লেখা আছে। সেকশন 293 তে এই ব্যাপারটার বিষয়ে লেখা আছে, রিগার্ডিং দ্য clear days when letter of administration will be granted and when probate will be granted. এই দুটোর ব্যাপারেই কিন্তু আমরা 293 সেকশন থেকে পাবে। Next is a probate can be granted only in case of death, estate and to an executor appointed by the will. Probate শুধুমাত্র টেস্টামেন্টারি সাকসেশনের জন্যই দেয়া হয়, আর কোনো ক্ষেত্রে নয়। কিন্তু লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনকে যদি আমি দেখি, আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন can be granted to an administrator either in case of death, estate or intestate. যদি কেউ estate হিসেবে মারা যায় তখন, অথবা যদি কেউ intestate হিসেবে মারা যায় তখন। So there is two succession type in case of letter of administration, but in case of probate শুধুমাত্র টেস্টামেন্টারি সাকসেশন। তার মানে এই প্রবেট শুধু টেস্টামেন্টারি সাকসেশনের জন্যই দেয়া হয়, কিন্তু লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন টেস্টামেন্টারি অর ইন্টেস্টেড দুটোর জন্যই দেয়া হয়। নেক্সট ইজ মোর ইনফরমেশন অ্যাবাউট লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন। সো প্রথমে হচ্ছে টু হুম লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশন মে বি গ্রান্টেড। So according to section 218 of the Indian Succession Act, if the person who is dying intestate was a Hindu or Mohammedan or Buddhist, Sikh or Jaina or an exempted person, তখন administration of the estate may be granted to any person who, according to the rules for the distribution of the estate applicable in the case of such deceased, would be entitled to the whole or part of such deceased estate, or to several other persons, or to no persons apply. It may be granted to the creditor. So सेक्शन 218 मुताबिक अगर कोई इंटेस्टेड मरता है तो उसका जो प्रॉपर्टी है वो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का राइट मिलेगा उन लोगों को जो बेनिफिशियरी है और लीगटी है और लीगल हेयर है। इफ देयर इज मोर देन वन लीगल हेयर, इट विल बी प्रोवाइडेड टू द persons who are applying before the court for taking the rights of administration. So it may be one administrator or more than one administrator. And if there is no person applying as being the legal heir, then if a creditor is there of the deceased, then it will be granted to the creditor. Next, it is about section 219. So in 218, we have talked about Hindu, Mohammedan, Buddha, Jaina, intestate. And now, if there is any other category of person, then what is the rules? It is being discussed under section 219. So according to 219, it is saying that if the person who has died in the state and was not a person belonging to any of the classes referred to section 18, the letter of administration will be provided or granted to the following order. Firstly, to the widow. If the person dies and he leaves behind his widow, then it will be given to the widow. যদি widow না থাকে তাহলে beneficiaries-রা পাবে. If there is no widow, then the court sees who are the beneficiaries and it will be granted to the beneficiaries if they apply before the court. আর যদি beneficiaries-রাও নাও থাকে তাহলে কাকে? creditor-কে দেয়া হবে। এরপরে হচ্ছে some other informations which says that to obtain letter of administration, the beneficiary has to apply to the court. So, যেই letter of administration চাইছে, the person who is seeking letter of administration needs to come before the court and apply. Then only he will be getting the letter of administration. Likewise, there are some more information which says that the court, after receiving the request along with proper proofs and documents, will check thoroughly, and then it will issue the letter of administration to the beneficiary. যখন কোনো beneficiary কোর্টের কাছে যাচ্ছে, then the court will check all the documents and then only he will provide or grant the letter of administration. এরপরে বলছে a letter of administration may be granted to one or more persons who apply before the court. So if there is more than one person, the court may give letter of administration to all those persons. If there is no widow beneficiary apply, then the letter of administration will be granted to a creditor of the deceased person. তার মানে কি, যেখানে কোনো বেনিফিশিয়ারি নেই, কোনো উইডো নেই, সেখানে লেটার অফ অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনটা কোনো একটা ক্রেডিটর অফ দ্য ডিসিজ পারসনকে দেয়া হবে। এরপরে কি বলছে, it is important to note that letter of administration cannot be granted to a minor or to a person of unsound mind. According to section 236 of the Indian Succession Act 1925, it is saying that letter of administration cannot be granted to a minor or to a person of unsound mind. So you can check the section to know more in details. Okay. এরপরে কি বলছে, it is important to note that if a deceased has made a will, then letter of administration may be granted to the following persons. So from the definition of administrator, we have found that if there is no executor, then in case of testamentary succession, letter of administration may be granted. So কাকে কাকে দিতে পারে letter of administration in that case? To the universal or residuary legatee. Next বলছে to the person or persons who would be entitled to the administration of the estate of the deceased if he had died intestate. যদি কোনো deceased intestate হিসেবে মারা যেত, সেই ক্ষেত্রে যে entitled হতো তাদেরকে দেয়া হবে। নেক্সট কি বলছে, এনি আদার লিগেটি হ্যাভিং আ বেনিফিশিয়াল ইন্টারেস্ট। থার্ডে বলছে অন্য কোনো লিগেটি যার একটা বেনিফিশিয়াল ইন্টারেস্ট আছে সেই প্রপার্টি। আর ফোর্থে হচ্ছে ক্রেডিটর। এবার ইউ মে হ্যাভ সাম query regarding what is legatee, what is universal legatee. So all the information is provided here. You can check that legatee means a person who receives the legacy. আমি যদি মারা যাই, আমার পরবর্তী প্রজন্ম হচ্ছে আমার লিগেটি। আর ইউনিভার্সাল লিগেটি কি? Universal legatee means the successor and denotes that person who inherits the rights, obligation, possession, debts, etc. of an ancestor's title in the property through testamentary succession. So universal legatee হচ্ছে সেই সব successors of the person dying testated যার কাছে অটোমেটিকলি রাইটস, অব্লিগেশন, পসেশনস গুলো ইনহেরিট করার রাইট পাচ্ছে। সো ইউনিভার্সাল লিগেটি মিনস দ্য সাকসেসর and it denotes that person who inherits the rights, obligation, etc. of the testator. And residuary legatee means the person or person named in the will to receive any residue left in an estate or property. যদি কারোর রেসিডিউরি লিগেটি হিসেবে নাম থাকে তাদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে রেসিডিউয়ারি লিগেটি, যারা রেসিডিউ গুলো পায় এস্টেট। এরপরে হচ্ছে powers of an executor or an administrator. So what are the powers of an executor or administrator is being defined under chapter 6 from section 305 to 315. So এখানে পরপর করে আমি বলেছি important powers of an executor or administrator. So what are those? Section 305 says that an executor or an administrator has the power to sue in respect of all causes of action. So they have a power to sue. This is one of the power given to them. Next is an executor or administrator has power to dispose of the property of the deceased. So executor or administrator কাছে power আছে deceased এর প্রপার্টিটাকে ডিসপোজ করার। এরপরে কি আছে, সেকশন 308 says that an executor or administrator has some more powers to expend money in lawful ways. This is the section, you can check this. Next, we have section 311, which says that when there are several executors or administrators, the power of all, in the absence of any direction of the contrary, be exercised by any one of them who has proved the will or taken out administration. এখানে অনেক এক্সিকিউটর আর অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটর এর কথা বলা হয়েছে, সেখানে যদি কোনো ডিরেকশন না দেয়া থাকে, যার কাছে উইলের প্রুফ আছে আর যে অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনের পাওয়ারটা নিয়েছে সেই কিন্তু অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটর হবে আর সেই অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেট করবে প্রপার্টিটা। এরপরে 312 says that upon the death of one or more of several executors or administrators, in the absence of any direction to the contrary in the will or grant of letter of administration, all the powers of the office become vested in the survivor or survivors. Suppose there are more than one executor or administrator. Now, if one of them dies, then in that case, the survivors will be having the powers and they will be working to administer the property and distribute the property accordingly. Next, section 313 says that the administrator of effects and administers has, with respect to such effects, the same power as the original executor or administrator. যদি কোনো unadministered part থাকে তাহলে কিন্তু administratorsরা সেই পার্টটাকে administer করতে পারবে and they will be having the same power as an original executor or administrator had. Suppose a portion of the property is unadministered or left, so the power given to the administrator to administer those parts is equivalent to the powers provided to the original executor or administrators. Next, 314 says that an administrator during minority has all powers of an admin. So if a person is minor and he is also the administrator, then during his minority he has all the powers of an ordinary administrator. After ordinary administrator powers থাকে, during the minority of an administrator he will be having that power, equivalent powers. Okay. Next, according to section 315, when a grant of probate or letter of administration has been given to a married woman, she has all the powers of an ordinary executor or administrator. An ordinary executor or an administrator has certain powers. Those powers will also be given to a person who is a married woman. So, married woman, if becomes administrator or executor, will have all the powers of an ordinary executor or administrator. So by this we end our topic of discussion. Now please note that you have to read the Indian Succession Act 1925 and the sections provided to you, and you have to refer books, journals or online study materials and notes whichever is applicable or available to you. And you have to stay at home right now because the situation is demanding we have to stay at home. So stay at home, study and also attend the online classes which are being provided to you timely. So just attend those classes, plus read your notes, books, journals, whatever you are having in your home, and also follow the video lectures and try to complete the task given to you. So today also there is a task given, so just check the task what is given to you. Okay, these are some questions which you have to answer. For example, which section defines the word administrator? I think in the beginning of the lecture I have provided you the section number, so you can know from that also, and if you have remembered you can answer it here. Next, explain the powers of an executor or an administrator. What are the powers of an executor or administrator? Right now we have discussed, you can tell from that also. Next is difference or distinguish between probate and letter of administration. What is the difference between probate and letter of administration? I have given you information you can know and you can let me know. And if you have idea, just go to the comment section and write it down. Next, we have what you know about the effects of administration. So what are the effects of administration? You have to tell me. Next is, does section 247 of the Indian Succession Act 1925 deals with administration pendant LITE? Answer, yes or no. Next is, write a note on letter of administration. It is about the short note of letter of administration. So the whole video lecture circumference about letter of administration, I think you can answer it. If you know some of the answers, you can just quickly write in the comment section. And if you have any query, feel free to ask me. And if you have any suggestions regarding the next classes on which you want to have lectures on, you can tell me in the comment section so that I can provide you topic and lectures on that. So for the timing, stay safely inside, take care, and stay at home and read family law. Take care.